welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Gear. Today we're going to be showing you how you can set up external effects so that you can use them with your FM9. Most people that buy FM9 units today know that there's everything but the kitchen sink in here in terms of effects and amplifiers. But some of you that are making the switch may have already collected a series of really nice sounding outboard gear that you don't want to throw away. And you don't have to. That's the beauty of the FM9. You can actually use software effects as well as outboard gear such as your beloved delays or distortion pedals or overdrive pedals. So today, if you've been wondering how to set that up, I'm going to show you step by step how to do that. Everything that we're going to be talking about today is outlined in the manual, so I always recommend you read the manual first. But if you're like me, sometimes the manual is a little bit confusing and you prefer to see it with your own eyes. We're going to be taking you step by step through the process, okay? So the first thing we're going to need to do today is to be able to connect your outboard gear to the outputs on the back of the FM9. Yes, it seems very daunting. There's a lot of things happening in the back of there, but trust me, we'll walk through it together and we'll simplify the process. So you'll need an effects pedal. In this case, we'll be connecting an analog delay. You'll need 2 jacks and you'll need a power source for your delay pedal if you're using one. So either a battery or a wall wart, you have to make sure that you can power it up. So go to the back of your FM9 and locate the output 3L. Once you see that, plug in your jack in there. Make sure the other end of your jack is plugged into the input of your delay pedal. Next, you're going to want to locate the input 3L on the opposite side. Plug in the second jack into that and make sure that the other end of that jack goes into your output of your delay pedal. Plug in the power source. Keep your pedal off for the time being. You don't need to plug it in. We're going to get to that in a couple of seconds. But first, we have some work to do in the editor, and I'm going to show you how to set that up properly so that everything works the way it should. All right, so now we're in our editor, and you're going to want to locate one of the patches you're going to want to work with. There's a couple of things you're going to keep in mind here when you're setting this up, because there's a couple of nuances beyond the obvious when it comes to hooking up a modulation pedal. We're going to go through the setup for the modulation pedal here first, and then we're going to go through the setup for something like a drive pedal. The setup is kind of similar, but not exactly the same, and I'll explain why in the process as we go through it. So the effect that I'm calling up and using for today's demo is called Wrecker Rocket, and it's a really nice sounding patch. I'll make you hear what that sounds like. As you can hear, there's already a delay in the patch and it's enabled. It's right here. So obviously for this demo, we're going to disable that so that you can hear the external delay pedal. So let's go ahead, click on that, and let's make sure that is bypassed before we do anything else. Next, we're going to want to set up the blocks for the ins and outs that we just connected to on the back of the Fractal. So on the right hand side of the amp and cabinet block just here, you want to make sure you have 2 empty slots that you can actually access. If you don't, you may have to move over some blocks to make room. So we're going to click the block right after the cabinet block. We're going to right click on that. We're going to go to output and we're going to select output 3. Now, why are we selecting output 3? Because that is the output that we're using on the back of the unit. We want to make sure that what we select here and what we have selected on the back of the unit are the same. Next, we're going to want to go to the right of that. Let's click on that, right click. and go into the input and select input 3. So once you have your output 3 and input 3 on your patch and everything is turned on, you want to make sure that all of your blocks are connected. There should be a line connecting every single one of those. Otherwise, you will not get any sound. And you also want to make sure that the output 3 knob on the front of your Fractal, it's the rightmost knob on the series of small knobs, that is turned all the way up. So right now you should be able to get some sound. So if I strum, you should hear something. If you don't hear anything, there could be a problem. Let's try it out. Okay, so you should have heard some dry sound minus the delay. Now the software delay is off and the outboard delay is off. So next we're going to turn on the delay pedal, the physical delay pedal we just set up, and we're going to try the same thing. This time you should hear your awesome delay pedal. So if you hear your delay pedal, everything is set up the way it should, and that is exactly how to set up the modulation effects with the FM9. Now the next question will be, well, can I use the outboard effects with the onboard effects? The answer is yes. You can definitely turn on the delay here. Let's turn off the bypass so that we can actually hear it, and let's hear both at the same time. Now, of course, if you want to jump into the delay settings here and mess around with the time, you can definitely get some really far out effects, which I encourage you to experiment with, because that is the beauty of being able to mix both onboard delays and outboard gear. Now, let's say we want to set up a drive. Now, we can definitely leave everything the way it is and just disconnect the delay pedal and connect the drive. But we might not have the best sound, because typically modulation effects do best after the amp and cabinet, while drive effects definitely sound better before the amp and the cabinet. So before we do anything and connect the drive, let's make a couple of modifications, all right? So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to move the output 3 and input 3 to the other end of the amp and the cabinet. So let's just scooch everything over. Now, as you can see, we lost all of the connectors. So if you try and strum anything, you won't hear any sound. Everything has to be reconnected. So make sure all the lines between your, the drive, the output, the input, the amp, and the cabinet are connected. We will leave the drive off for the time being because this is a software drive. And now I'll take a couple of seconds and connect my wonderful Plimsoll and just basically replace the drive pedal that we set up. Okay, so now that we've connected our drive pedal, you should still be getting sound, so test that first. You'll hear the amp without, well, the drive coming from the amp because the drive pedal is physically turned off. That sounds like this. All right, so now we can actually try turning on the external overdrive and hear what that sounds like. So you should have heard the drive coming from the plimsoll pedal, and that was kind of dry because we didn't have the software delay on or anything like that, but you can definitely turn on the delay and spice things up. I really encourage you guys to experiment with all of the sounds in the FM9, but don't forget the pedals that you loved, that you've picked and selected so carefully. You can still use those and make sure that you just keep on loving them. You know, just mix them into the sounds that you can get with the FM9, and it's really the best of both worlds and opens up so much possibilities, so many possibilities, that I'm sure you will have hours and hours of fun. Hey, if you have any questions regarding today's video, we have a live show that happens every Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Addicted to Gear Live, where we spend an hour or two with some great people and we talk about everything that we've done in the past, some older videos, some newer videos, videos that are upcoming. So if you have any questions specifically about today's video or some other things you would like us to see or try on our channel, you can definitely jump on the live chat and, you know, share and communicate and chat and get some live input. What could be better? If you like what we're doing here on Addicted to Gear and you're getting some value out of today's video, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the bell icon or you'll be missing out on other great videos. See you soon.